In 2004, researchers photographed judo athletes at the Olympic Games and at the Paralympic Games right alongside them, right at the exact moment each one won or lost. Over 100 competitors, 36 different countries, and a chunk of those athletes had been blind since birth. Never once seen a human face, never seen anyone celebrate a win. When the results came in, every single winning athlete did the exact same thing. Arms up, chest out, head tilted back. Sighted or blind, it didn't matter. A person who has never once seen another human body language cue in their entire life still throws their arms up in victory exactly like everyone else on Earth. That is not something you learned by watching people. That's hardware, built in before you were born. And it means something bigger than one study about athletes. It means your body was fluent in communication long before your mouth ever said a single word. So what did that actually look like? What were your ancestors doing to coordinate and warn each other and survive for hundreds of thousands of years before language existed? Let's actually go find out. Start with the face, because it's the most obvious channel and also the one people take completely for granted. The human face has over 40 distinct muscles, more than almost any other animal alive, and most of them exist purely to make expressions. Psychologist Paul Ekman spent decades studying this and found something remarkable. Fear looks the same in Papua New Guinea as it does in Tokyo. Disgust is discussed in the Amazon and in a Norwegian suburb. These aren't learned customs, they're biological broadcasts, hardwired the same in every human population ever tested. Ekman also found something called micro-expressions, flickers of real emotion that last less than a fifth of a second. You can't fully suppress them. They leak out even while you're actively trying to hide how you feel. This wasn't decoration. An early human who could silently flash danger across a camp without making noise that attracted a predator had a genuine survival advantage. So did the person next to them who could read that flash instantly and react. We didn't invent communication when language showed up. We upgraded something already running. Now, go back further, about 6 million years, to right around where the human lineage split from chimpanzees. Watch wild chimps today, and you'll see something uncomfortably familiar. In 2014, primatologists Catherine Hobitaire and Richard Byrne at the University of St. Andrews published a study observing over 80 wild chimpanzees in Uganda. They cataloged 66 distinct gestures used to communicate at least 19 separate meanings. An arm raised means "give me that." A tap on the shoulder means "climb on me." And critically, chimps only use these gestures when they can actually see the other chimp's face. They wait for eye contact. They repeat the gesture if it's ignored. They stop the second they get the response they wanted. That's not instinct running on autopilot. That's intentional, targeted communication. And here's the detail that should genuinely surprise you. Human babies do almost the exact same thing before they can speak. Around 9 months old, well before real language shows up, babies start pointing, holding objects up to show you, reaching toward things they want. Most animals can't even follow a pointing finger. Your dog looks at your hand, not what you're pointing at. Human infants point specifically to share attention with you, not just to demand something. That single difference is a big part of why some linguists argue language didn't start in the mouth at all. It started in the hands, and the voice came later, layer on top. But gesture only works when you can actually see each other, and early humans spent enormous stretches of time where visibility just wasn't guaranteed. Dense forest, darkness, spread out across open terrain, so something else had to fill that gap. Sound. Not words yet, just sound. Every primate species has some kind of call system, and some of them are shockingly specific. Vervet monkeys have distinct alarm calls for different predators. One call for eagles sends the troop diving into bushes. A different call for snakes makes them stand up and scan the ground. A third call for leopards sends them straight up into the trees. Same troop, three completely different sounds, three completely correct survival responses. That call isn't just an emotional outburst, it's referring to something specific happening out in the world. That's not full language, but it's also not nothing. It sits right in between. And your ancestors almost certainly had something like it, probably far richer given millions of extra years of social complexity stacked on top. As group sizes grew and cooperative hunting demanded tighter coordination, the pressure to communicate with more precision only kept building. And that pressure was about to run straight into a problem that fossils can actually answer. What did early humans, or even Neanderthals, actually sound like? Voice boxes don't fossilize, the soft tissue is long gone. But there's a small U-shaped bone in the throat called the hyoid, and it does survive. Neanderthal hyoid bones recovered from sites in the Middle East are almost identical in shape to yours, which means they very likely had the physical hardware for complex vocal sound, whatever they actually used it for. And Neanderthals weren't exactly quiet, socially isolated creatures either. They buried their dead. They used pigments. There's evidence they wore eagle talons as personal ornaments. Those aren't the habits of something with nothing to say to anyone. Now here's where the story gets genuinely strange and genuinely modern. In the 1990s, geneticists in Britain began studying a family known in research papers only as the KE family. Across 3 generations, roughly half of them had a severe inherited difficulty with speech. Not a hearing problem, not an intelligence problem. They simply could not reliably coordinate the fine sequence of face and mouth movements needed to produce fluent, clear speech. In 2001, researchers led by Cecilia Lai and Simon Fisher traced the cause to a single gene, published in the journal Nature. They named it FOXP2. It became the first gene ever directly linked to human speech and language ability. One broken gene, half a family across generations, physically unable to speak the way everyone else in the room could. It's a genuine reminder that speech itself isn't some magic add-on. It's built out of specific hardware the same way gesture and expression are.
A quick one. If a deep dive like this is worth your time, subscribe. It genuinely helps. Now, back to the story, because there's a channel we haven't even touched yet. Rhythm. Every known human culture on Earth has music. Everyone has drumming, clapping, or some rhythmic tradition. That's not a coincidence you can explain away easily. When humans move in sync, walking together, drumming together, singing together, something measurable happens in the body. Oxytocin rises, pain tolerance goes up, group cohesion measurably improves. There's a reason military units march in step, a reason chants and rituals exist in every religion on Earth. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, known for his work on social group size, has argued that early rhythm and music may have worked as a kind of grooming at a distance. In primate groups, physical grooming, one-on-one, is the main way social bonds get built. But once group sizes grew past a certain point, you simply can't groom your way to cohesion one individual at a time anymore. Singing and drumming together could bond dozens of people simultaneously, sound working as social glue. The oldest confirmed musical instruments, bone flutes found in Germany, date back at least 40,000 years. But percussion doesn't need an instrument at all. Hands on hollow logs, stones struck together, feet on packed earth. Rhythm was available to literally every human who ever lived. And there's one more channel almost nobody thinks about: smell. Humans are usually described as having a weak sense of smell compared to other animals. And compared to a dog, sure. But we're extraordinarily sensitive to specific chemical signals carrying social information. In 1995, biologist Klaus Wedekind at the University of Bern ran an experiment that got nicknamed the sweaty t-shirt study. Women were asked to smell t-shirts worn by different men and rate which scent they found most attractive. They consistently preferred the scent of men whose immune system genetics were most different from their own, a preference linked to healthier potential offspring. Nobody in that room consciously thought about immune compatibility. The nose did the calculation and handed the brain a feeling instead. Early humans sleeping in close groups, handling the same tools, moving through the same space constantly, were bathed in this kind of chemical information every single day. And once knowledge needed to move between people, not just in the moment, but across generations, one more system stepped in: imitation. Watching a skilled person perform a task and physically copying it, refining it slightly, passing it on. Researchers at Yale found that children don't just copy the result of an action, they copy the exact method, even the completely unnecessary steps, because they assume every step must mean something. That tendency, called over-imitation, is a huge part of how technique and technology survived for hundreds of thousands of years, long before anyone could write anything down or fully explain why a method worked at all. So put the entire picture together now. The face was already broadcasting emotion, the hands were already signaling intent, the voice was already producing calls that referred to specific, real dangers in the world, rhythm was already binding groups together in ways one-on-one contact never could, smell was already transmitting information about health and compatibility completely below conscious awareness, and technique was already surviving across generations through nothing but watching, copying, and repetition. None of that was a rough draft waiting to be replaced by language. It was a rich, working, multi-channel system. And when language finally arrived, it didn't replace any of it. It joined it. Every conversation you have today still runs on both systems at the exact same time. The words coming out of someone's mouth and the face, posture, and timing running right alongside them. That's exactly why when someone says, "I'm fine," in a flat voice with their arms crossed, you don't believe the words. You believe the 50 other signals contradicting them. Signals older than language itself still running quietly in the background. Here's a real question, and I genuinely love to hear your take on this one. Out of everything in this video, the blind athletes, the chimp gestures, that KE family losing the ability to physically coordinate speech, which one actually surprised you the most? Tell me down in the comments. I actually read them. And if this changed how you think about a single shrug or look you'll give someone tomorrow, tap like before you go. Because the next time you say something without saying a word, a look, a pause, a shrug held just a second too long, you're not failing to communicate. You're speaking a language older than any word ever spoken, one refined over millions of years of survival, and somehow, most of the time, the message still gets through just fine.